I've done nothing to you. Yeah, you are. Something that is clearly delusional. It's delusional to say that other girls are flourishing.
Y'all, what if this pregnancy wasn't a celebration, but the moment everything started falling apart behind the scenes? Because right now, all eyes are on Nicki Minaj, and what she allegedly just exposed about Latto is sending shockwaves through the industry. This isn't just gossip anymore. This is calculated, messy, and dangerously personal. According to what's circulating, Nicki didn't just call Latto out. She pulled the curtain back on a secret that was never supposed to go public. A hidden relationship, a married man, and a pregnancy that, allegedly, was never an accident. We're talking about 21 Savage, a man with a whole wife, a whole family, living one life in public and a completely different one in the shadows. And Nicki's alleged words? Brutal. She knew, and she still did it. That single statement has ignited a firestorm. Because if this is true, then this isn't just betrayal. This is strategy. Rumors are exploding that this wasn't love, it was leverage. That Latto didn't just fall into this situation, she locked it in. Permanently. And now, the fallout is ugly. A silent wife. A rapper caught between two lives. And a woman at the center of it all, facing a level of backlash she's never seen before. This is no longer music industry drama. This is a scandal that could destroy reputations, relationships, and everything in between. And the most disturbing part? We're only hearing the beginning.
Do you yourself see yourself getting married?
Yeah, for sure. Lots of kids. I won't be rapping by then, so I can be like full-time mom and like have a garden in the back and like chickens and cows and horses and like 10 dogs. That's really in Jamaica.
What the girls lack in common sense, they make up for in looks. If this news and this announcement caught you off guard, I just want to say that you and George W. Bush could probably go intellect for intellect.
The moment Nicki Minaj allegedly broke her silence, everything shifted. Because this wasn't a random rant. It wasn't a subtle jab. It was calculated, direct, and aimed straight at Latto. And the internet felt it instantly. What started as quiet whispers about a hidden pregnancy suddenly turned into a full-blown narrative, one that painted a picture far darker than fans expected. According to circulating claims, Nicki didn't just question Latto's choices. She exposed what she described as a long-running secret that had been carefully hidden from the public eye. A relationship that wasn't supposed to exist. Because at the center of it all is 21 Savage, a man whose name has been linked to Latto for years, but never fully confirmed. Every time rumors surfaced, they were denied. Every photo explained away. Every coincidence dismissed. But now, those same moments are being re-examined.
I don't even know what to say, y'all. Thank y'all for all the congratulations. Business and Personal out now. Big Mama, the album. May 29th. I'm Big Mama. For real. Big Mama, one kid.
People are going back to old clips, old posts, old sightings, connecting dots that suddenly don't feel random anymore. The private vacations. The accidental social media slips. The subtle hints that once seemed harmless now look like pieces of something much bigger. And according to what Nicki allegedly suggested, this wasn't just a secret romance. It was a secret built on top of another life. Because behind the scenes, 21 Savage was already tied to a wife, a family, a reality that never made it into headlines. And yet, despite that, the connection with Latto allegedly continued quietly, consistently, and without interruption. That's where the narrative turns heavy. Because if these claims are true, then this wasn't just about two people falling for each other. This was about choices, intentions, and consequences that were always going to catch up. Nicki's alleged commentary didn't stop at exposure. It went deeper, questioning motives, suggesting that this situation didn't spiral out of control. It was guided there, carefully, strategically. And then comes the part that changed everything: the pregnancy. When Latto finally stepped forward and made her announcement, it should have been a moment of celebration. A new chapter. A fresh beginning. But instead, it triggered a wave of scrutiny. Because people weren't just asking who the father was anymore. They were asking how long this had really been going on, and what it cost to keep it hidden. Nicki's alleged claim that this wasn't accidental added fuel to an already explosive situation. The idea that this could have been a deliberate move, a way to secure something permanent, spread fast. Too fast to contain. And suddenly, the focus shifted again.
Wait, 90 Chanel, my boy. Running through these New York streets, about to go have this dinner with my husband.
Oh, wait. So are you tired of people asking about you know who?
No.
21? So you're not tired of hearing about 21? We love you, girl.
Not just to Latto, but to the people around her. The silent figures. The ones who haven't spoken. Especially the wife. Because while the internet debates, speculates, and takes sides, there's a woman at the center of the storm who hasn't said a word. No statements. No responses. Just silence. And sometimes, silence says more than anything else. Meanwhile, 21 Savage remains just as quiet. No confirmations. No denials. Just distance. Which only makes everything louder. Because in situations like this, absence isn't neutral. It creates space, and that space gets filled with assumptions, theories, and narratives that spiral out of control. And right now, that spiral is accelerating. Fast. Because what once looked like a rumor now feels like a story that was always waiting to be exposed. Then whatever comes next might be even more unsettling.
I've heard you say in the past, like, you kind of get funny or like try to be weary about how you approach getting features from men, because a lot of times they be acting funny and they be acting weird. I feel like at this point everyone knows that you're in a relationship. Do you still deal with people, like men being funny?
Do everybody know? I feel like I need to scream in front of the mountaintops one more time.
As the noise grew louder, the story didn't slow down, it mutated. Because now, this wasn't just about a hidden relationship anymore. It was about a timeline that didn't add up, and the deeper people looked, the more uncomfortable the details became. Nicki Minaj allegedly didn't stop at surface-level accusations. What she hinted at next pushed the situation into a completely different space, one where every past denial started to look intentional, calculated. For years, Latto had publicly maintained a very specific image, independent, unbothered, and most importantly, unattached. Every interview reinforced it. Every appearance sold it. Fans believed they were watching someone fully in control of her narrative. But now, that narrative is cracking. Because if what's being alleged is true, then while that image was being built in public, something entirely different was unfolding in private. A connection with 21 Savage that wasn't new, wasn't recent, and definitely wasn't accidental. People are now revisiting old moments with a different lens. That performance where she looked slightly off, the sudden weight fluctuations she brushed off, the quiet periods where she disappeared without explanation, at the time, none of it raised alarms. Now, it all feels like clues. And the most unsettling part? Some are starting to believe the pregnancy didn't just happen recently, that it may have been hidden longer than anyone realized. That what the public saw as a reveal might actually have been a controlled release, timed carefully, calculated for maximum impact. If that's true, then this wasn't just secrecy.
Careful, what's in your stomach? You know what's in there. Latto, stop playing me.
This was management. And that's where Nicki's alleged claims hit the hardest. Because she didn't just question Latto's honesty, she questioned her intentions. The suggestion that this entire situation may have been orchestrated to force permanence, to create a bond that couldn't be ignored, spread like wildfire. A baby changes everything. It shifts power.it, complicates exits.it, forces decisions. And according to the rumors, that may have been the point. Meanwhile, 21 Savage is facing a different kind of pressure. Because the spotlight on him is no longer avoidable. He's no longer just a rumored name in the background. He's now at the center of a narrative that paints him as someone living two completely separate lives, one stable, one secret. And both are now colliding. The question people keep asking is simple, but brutal. How long can you balance two realities before one destroys the other? So far, he hasn't answered. And that silence is starting to feel intentional. Because speaking up would mean choosing a side, and right now, every option comes with consequences. Stay silent and let the narrative grow without control. Speak out and risk confirming everything. Either way, damage is already done.
Or spit or swallow. Oh, I'm gonna swallow for sure. She gave me swallow.
Because I want you to know, yeah, that's mine.
Mine.
Oh, you know something? I cannot do that.
Why?
But can you do it all the time? Or is that a special occasion?
Every time it's nothing.
Ooh, I gotta grow. Oh, I have to
It's
grow.
something about like him seeing me like, yeah.
As intense as this situation is, there's another layer that's making it even darker. The past. Because alongside all these new allegations, old controversies are being dragged back into the spotlight, including the disturbing claims involving Gorgeous Doll. An incident that many had forgotten, now resurfacing at the worst possible time. Some are calling it coincidence. Others are calling it a pattern. And when narratives start forming patterns, they become harder to ignore. That's exactly what's happening now. Every piece of the past is being reassembled, reinterpreted, and placed into a story that feels bigger than any single moment. A story about power, secrecy, and control. And the public? They're watching it unfold in real time, picking sides, digging deeper, waiting for the next reveal. Because everyone knows, this still isn't the full picture. Something else is coming. And if the tension right now feels heavy, what's about to surface next might be impossible to contain. And just when it felt like the story had reached its peak, everything took a darker turn. Because what's happening now isn't just exposure, it's escalation. The narrative surrounding Nicki Minaj, Latto, and 21 Savage is no longer being shaped by a single claim or a single moment. It's being fueled by layers, old footage, resurfaced posts, insider whispers, all colliding at once. And the more that surfaces, the less this looks like coincidence. Because now, people aren't just asking what happened. They're asking who knew and who stayed quiet. There's a growing belief online that this entire situation was an open secret within certain circles. That behind closed doors, people were aware of the connection between Latto and 21 Savage long before the public ever caught on. If that's true, then the silence wasn't accidental. It was strategic. Which brings everything back to Nicki. Because the biggest question right now isn't just what she said, it's why now? Why speak at this exact moment? Why bring attention to something that, according to rumors, had been hidden for years? Some believe it's personal, others believe it's calculated timing. But either way, the impact is undeniable. Because her alleged statements didn't just expose a relationship, they shifted the power dynamic. Suddenly, Latto isn't in control of the narrative anymore. Every move she makes now is being watched, analyzed, and questioned. Even her silence is being interpreted. And that silence is starting to feel heavy. Because while the internet keeps talking, she hasn't directly addressed any of it. No clear confirmation. No strong denial, just distance. And in situations like this, distance creates suspicion. Meanwhile, 21 Savage is still nowhere to be found in the conversation publicly, which is only making things worse. Because people are starting to connect his silence to something bigger, not just personal avoidance, but possible consequences. There's growing speculation that his situation isn't just emotional. It's complicated on a level that goes beyond relationships. Legal, reputational, personal, all intertwined. And if that's true, then every decision he makes from here could affect more than just his image. But the most intense focus right now? It's shifting toward the one person who hasn't stepped into the spotlight at all. The wife. Because while the internet debates Latto's intentions and Nicki's motives, there's a woman whose entire reality may have been impacted without her ever choosing to be part of the narrative. No interviews. No posts. No statements. Just silence. And that silence has turned her into the center of public sympathy. People are asking questions that no one can answer yet. Did she know? When did she find out? And what happens now? Because if even half of these allegations are true, then this isn't just a scandal. It's a collapse. A relationship shaken. A reputation questioned. A future uncertain. And at the center of it all, a pregnancy that has transformed from a private moment into a public storm. But here's where things take an even more unsettling turn. Because some voices online are now suggesting that this situation isn't over, that what we're seeing right now is only the controlled part of the story. The part that was allowed to come out. There are whispers that more receipts exist, more timelines, more connections. And if those come to light, the narrative could shift again. Dramatically. Because right now, everything is still based on what's being said, not what's been proven. And that line? It's thin. Very thin. Which means one reveal, one piece of undeniable evidence, could change everything overnight. It could confirm the story, or completely destroy it. That's the tension hanging over this entire situation. Because nobody knows which direction this is going to go. All they know is that it's not slowing down. If anything, it's building. The audience is locked in, the theories are multiplying, the pressure is rising. And the people at the center of it? They're running out of time to respond. Because in today's world, silence doesn't protect you. It exposes you. And as this story continues to unfold, one thing is becoming painfully clear. This was never just about a relationship. It was about timing, power, control, and the consequences of secrets that couldn't stay hidden forever. Now the only question left is, who breaks first? Because when they do, this entire story could explode in a way no one is ready for. And now it all comes down to this moment, because the silence can't last forever. The internet is watching, dissecting, and waiting for someone to crack. Will it be Latto finally stepping forward to shut it all down, or confirm what everyone is already starting to believe? Will 21 Savage break his silence and choose a side, or stay hidden while the narrative spirals out of control? And what happens if Nicki Minaj isn't done talking yet? Because if even one more receipt drops, this situation doesn't just stay messy, it detonates. Reputations don't just get questioned, they collapse. Relationships don't just strain, they shatter. And the public doesn't just watch, they decide who wins and who gets buried. Right now, everything is hanging by a thread. Every post, every move, Every second of silence is adding fuel to a fire that's already out of control. And the longer this goes unanswered, the more dangerous it becomes. Because in this industry, it's not just about what's true, it's about what people believe. And right now, people are believing the worst. So the real question isn't what happened anymore. It's who's about to lose everything. Stay locked in, because this story is moving fast, the stakes are getting higher, and the next update could flip the entire narrative overnight. If you thought this was shocking, you haven't seen anything yet.